Michigan football kicks off the season this weekend against Fresno State in the Big House. Brant, I guess what I want to know from you is, obviously Michigan is the favorite. Fresno State is no cupcake, if you will, like Michigan has played in the past in September, but there's definitely a winnable game and a game that they should definitely win. I want to know from you what you're looking for. Like, what are you most excited for? What has you kind of on the edge of your seat for this game? Because, look, we have waited since January to see Michigan take the field again. And the last time we saw Michigan take the field, they were winning a national championship, which is the all-time high as a Michigan fan. But a new season begins, new head coach, ton of roster turnover, ton of coaching turnover. And so I want to know from you, Brant, what has you excited here about this upcoming season? And not really the season, but just this game in particular.
Dave, first and foremost, football is back, baby. Let's roll, man. I know that you're just as excited as I am. This weekend's going to be awesome. But yeah, as far as the Wolverines go, certainly looking for this defense, man. Like, that's what's got me so excited. It's like everybody keeps saying, all the magazines, all the podcasts, all the content you can consume kind of has this top 5 ranked defense. And that's right where they should be. I mean, if you talk about potential NFL draft picks, it's kind of all over this defensive roster, Dave. Even guys like Barham hasn't made NFL noise yet, but certainly, Dave, going into a sophomore year, like, that's a very real possibility for him. Houseman too. So, these are guys that probably will have NFL careers.
Jayshon Barham is getting the hype out of training camp too, which is like the Devin Bush comparisons, right? Of like, he's fast and he hits really hard.
And he's bigger. He's bigger than what Devin Bush was. And what's more exciting, Dave, is I think from all the things that I've heard is Jair Hill has kind of taken over the cornerback 2 spot. And he's a highly ranked kid coming out of high school. I know Michigan was pumped when they got him. He's obviously been in the program now for a couple of years. So I am very excited to see what this defense can bring. I'm going to guess, Dave, top 5 for me, but I think a lot of question marks remain on the offense. And I think that's what every Michigan fan is going to be watching the closely is they know what to expect from the defense. What is the offense going to give us, Dave?
No, I think that's the big question mark, right? I think the defense is nationally known right now, and the hype is definitely there. They return, 3 potential first-round draft picks in Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, and Mason Graham, and so just by that alone, and that's without mentioning, right, like Derek Moore and Josiah Stewart. They're deep on the D line, and I feel really good where they're at. Hate losing Rod Moore, but for this Fresno State game, the less I hear about the defense, the better, to be honest with you. The less I need to hear names called. I think that if it's a business as usual, keep them under, let's call it 2 scores. I'm feel pretty good about the defense. I think you hit the nail on the head with the last part, and that's look, we all want to see the offense. What does life look like post J.J. McCarthy for the Michigan Wolverines? And we don't have that answer. Brant, we don't even know as it stands right now who the starting quarterback is going to be. We think it's going to be Alex Orji. It could be Davis Warren. I think you're going to see both quarterbacks take the field on Saturday in some capacity. Even if Davis Warren is the starter who gets the first snap out there, there's no way that Alex Orji is going to go without seeing the field. I do think Orji will be the starter. With that being said, I think Davis Warren could get more snaps than people are anticipating, and I'm ready for it. I want to see that. Look, Michigan doesn't have the time that they've had in the past. They don't have the time to figure out in the month of September who their starting quarterback is going to be. They got to figure it out this week because they got Texas the next week, and it's not going to – that is no walk in the park. That's going to be a huge game. So Michigan needs to be ready for it, and Fresno State's going – I love that as the warm-up game, if you will, and I think we're going to learn a lot about this team. The other guy that I'm excited for, which is like you say the name, it's like, well, of course you're excited for him, but I just feel like people aren't talking enough about Donovan Edwards. We have not seen Donovan Edwards be the bell cow back at Michigan, and maybe we still won't. I'm curious to see how they use him and Khalil Mullins. Where does Benjamin Hall come in that? You hear a lot about Jordan Marshall, the true freshman as well. Very curious to see what that running back room looks like, and I'm curious to see how they get Donovan involved. And you may not see a ton of it on Saturday, but I'm curious how they throw the football to him. How does he run between the tackles? Like those are the things that to just name it, Brand. I mean, the beginning of last season, Donovan went weeks, months into the season without his first touchdown, right? I mean, they were doing everything they could last year at the goal line to get Donovan a touchdown, and it couldn't happen. He also was behind one of the best goal line backs in Michigan history in Blake Corum. But now it's the Donovan show, and I think Saturday starts the Donovan campaign. He is more humble. He is more mature. He is a captain on this football team, and I think Donovan Edwards is due for a special season here, and I'm expected a couple of big plays out of him early on in this Fresno State game.
Dave, one of the things that people have continually talked about this offseason was the turnover on the offensive line. And I feel like that's not really a question mark for me. Everything I'm hearing out of camp is guys are stepping up. I mean, they're just raving about Evan Link. And I mean, that is a dude that's been in the program now for a little while. And I expect this offensive line to, Dave, keep it rolling. Like, it's just plug and play with that position. And right now, you talk about the backs, you talk about the quarterback. Where does it all start, Dave? And you know just as well as I do, since 2021, it's been all about the offensive line. It's been about the trenches. And I expect them to be maybe not a completely gelled unit, but I expect the word domination again. And I expect them to be absolute savages in the trenches. And when you need a yard, you line them up and you go get those yards. And Dave, I can't rave enough about the offensive line that of just hearing everything about, and the tight ends. Like, I feel like they're going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with again. And that's Michigan's calling card. And it's going to make life easy for Donovan, all the backs and whatever quarterback's in there. I feel like he's going to have a pretty clean pocket.
Yeah, and for me, that is, while I agree with it, it is a question mark because you're going to have 5 new starters, and I think they're all going to be talented guys. I mean, you also have got Gio Alhadi, right, and Crippen in that room as well, and guys who have been in this program, but they haven't had starts, and not only some of them have had starts in some capacity or been called on in important moments. But we don't know how this offensive line is going to gel, right? And that's really important for the cohesion of those guys up front. And so I'm not expecting it to be perfect. I do think that it will certainly be good enough to beat Fresno State, but moving forward, Michigan's going to need to be good up front on both sides of the football. That's been the Michigan brand of football that has worked over the last few seasons. And I certainly do not see former O-line coach and Joe Moore, a winning offensive line coach, Sharon Moore, getting away from that in any capacity. But Brant, my last thought here, and then I'll kick it over to you before we wrap this segment up. By the way, hit that like, follow, subscribe button if you're listening here on Garage Takes, and let us know what you think and what you're looking for at this Michigan team against Fresno State. But let's not kid ourselves either. I mean, the quarterback's what I want to see. I want to see Alex Orji complete a pass. Let me just keep it very simple. I want to see him complete a pass over 10 yards, and I want it to look really good. I'm expecting a lot of dink and dunk. I'm expecting a lot of completions to the tight ends, as they should. But I need to see Alex Orji complete some passes and make the right decision in moments when he's under pressure. Brant?
Dave, I'll say this quickly about Fresno State. Over the years, especially recently, they've been known for their offense, which plays right into Michigan's hands. I would rather see a strong offense coming in to face this defense on the road than potentially a really strong defense that's going to come in and give us a real problem. Mikey Keene, UCF starter for a year. He balled out last year at Fresno. The guy is a seasoned guy. He's going to be not fazed by this moment, I think. But that's one thing to know about Fresno State as Michigan gears up against them this weekend is they are an offensive-driven team, and I look for Michigan to shut that down.
Michigan fans, let us know what you think. Hop in on those comments there. What are you expecting? What are you excited to see? Go Blue this weekend. Football's back.